Let's call the meeting to order. Mel will do roll call.
Mrs. Krentz?
Here.
Mr. Heisey?
Here.
Mr. Tim?
Here.
Mr. Piaski?
Here.
Mr. Eckstein?
Here.
Mr. Weddy?
Here.
Mrs. Blana?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Wadle?
Here.
Mr. Crawford?
Here.
Mark Kirschner?
Here.
All right, we will stand for silent prayer and pledge allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't believe we have received any public comments, requests for public comment. So we will need an approval of the agenda, please.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Weddy, second by Eckstein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now we have the minutes of the September 17th, 2013 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion by Larry Crawford, second by Bob Wadle. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. All right, we have no old business, so we're going on to new business, and we'll start with the Circuit Court Annual Report.
Gentlemen, in 2012, the Circuit Court opened 6,053 cases. Of those cases, 5,550 of them were disposed. Of those cases, they included 184 felonies and 566 misdemeanors. We currently are on pace in 2013 to increase that by above 20%. Our office also processed 307 passport applications and collected over $1.6 million. In 2012, we also experienced a year of transition. Longtime Deputy Alan Caswell retired after 38 years of dedicated service, leaving both a personal and professional void. This departure has prompted an earlier adjustment to courtroom duties, as personnel were assigned to half-day blocks of time rather than more than a more random approach that had been followed during the previous years. This practice coincided with calendaring adjustments that were made following discussions with the judge, district attorney, corporation counsel, as a significant portion of each week's were devoted to specific types of proceedings. This adjustment also involved expanded use of our family court commissioner, who began hearing small claims and ordinance cases. He also hears our injunction hearings. These procedures have now been followed for more than a year and are proving to be very effective. Some additional developments throughout the past year have focused upon upgrades to our filing system, including the expanded use of document scanning. This practice is far more efficient and will promote a smooth transition when our office converts to a paperless record retention in January of 2014. Although requiring an initial adjustment from everyone involved within our office, paperless filing will align our county with state recommendations, will be far more efficient, and will save the taxpayers several thousands of dollars a year. Our efforts to modernize the office have also included examination of the technology within our courtrooms. Current resources are outdated and inadequate. We recently began evaluating the upgrades that will be required to accommodate contemporary computer systems, video conferencing, and methods of evidence presentation. These needs will then be compared against current fiscal limitations so that the most cost-effective proposals can be introduced. One final, more recent development involves our effort to secure state funding for a treatment and diversion, or TAD court. I'm currently writing a grant with the objective of securing the resources necessary to establish a more proactive, rehabilitative response to the growing substance abuse problem within our county, whether involving alcohol, illicit drugs, illegal narcotics, prescription medication abuse. A significant majority of our caseload centers around this issue. I'm optimistic that the magnitude of the problem that we confront, our overwhelming case volume, and the limited economic resources available at the local level will encourage the state to provide us with the support needed to implement a response that is more productive and cost-effective.
Any questions? Next, we have UW Extension's annual report. This looks like a tag team.
It is a tag team. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you tonight the accomplishments and the goals of the UW Extension Office. I'm Barb Barker, the 4-H Youth Development Agent and co-department head.
Patrick Nearing, the Community Natural Resource and Economic Development Agent and co-department head.
Hello, I'm Terry Hernandez. I'm the nutrition educator with the Wisconsin Nutrition Education Program.
And we also have an agriculture agent, Ken Williams. The sad news is his dad passed away last night, and he would have turned 93 today. So we told him to stay home. He needed to spend the time with his family. So we want to move to the next slide.
Be happy to.
This is the purpose to which we commit. We commit that we will teach through a variety of means. You'll learn about some of those means. When I did a presentation in the Chancellor's Edit, I talked about how I teach via email, and he was pretty impressed with that. But there's many opportunities by which we can teach, either through technology, person to person, or other means. We learn more about our community. As our community grows and our community changes, we are here to learn. We also learn about best practices. What are things that other people have found successful in addressing community issues in the areas that we cover? We lead. We bring to you research. We bring to you ideas that can be applied to the different communities and situations, the different audiences that we serve. And we serve. We are a part of different entities and organizations that serve the citizens and residents of Waushara County. We connect the people with the University of Wisconsin. We bring the research from the university as well as other entities such as the United States Department of Agriculture. But if you go to their website, it is closed, so you can't get any information from USDA today. And we also engage people in transforming lives and communities. And we'll talk a little bit about it on the next slide in the different areas. Okay, the slides are in a little different order. The funding partnership. The one thing we want to talk a little bit about here is approximately 50% of our county department budget comes from the county, and the other 50% comes through funds that are given to us from the University of Wisconsin Extension, as well as the United States Department of Agriculture. Most of us have some money from all of these entities on our salary, but in essence it comes down to about 50-50%. On the next slide is how do we teach, lead, learn, and serve. And as we take a look at this, these are kind of the four, we call them program areas, or the four topic content areas that we talk about. And I'm going to turn it over to Patrick, and he's going to cover the first two.
So the next slide is about our agricultural agent, which is Ken Williams. He's part of a 7-county specialization, so the neighboring counties around us have someone in their office who is specialized in one of those areas that you see on the list there. Ken's specialization is in farm business and vegetables. So you want to go to the next one. Vegetables are a significant part of our agricultural economy. These are the top commodities that we have in the county. You see agriculture has grown from 1997, or 10 years ago, when it was not quite as a significant commodity in the county. And we used to be known for our Christmas trees, but you'll see Christmas trees have now fallen off. Dairy is still consistent where it has been over the years, and now we have more in the way of grains and somewhere with cattle. So Ken works with the business management side of things and the profitability, so he works on business plans. Part of that is grain marketing. He has a grazing lands initiative. He looks at different ways that farmers can plant their crops and different types of crops that they can use, and how those can then provide a better yield or a better production for their animals. He also works with nutrient management issues, and he collaborates with others within UW Extension and with our County Land Conservation and Zoning Department. So we want to go to the next one. Ken is also the educator in charge of the Master Gardener program. And Master Gardeners, as you can see in some of the pictures there, have volunteered to put plants around all over this Waushara County. And that's a horticultural program, and he, Ken also is our person to go to for questions on horticulture issues. Horticulture being those household plants versus your ones that you find out in the farm fields. And then he answers then also just general farm questions and crop questions. Then myself, I'm the Community Natural Resource and Economic Development Agent. So I cover all those different areas and those three main areas. One of the things I do is I can provide statistics and demographics. That's something we do through our UW Extension office. And if you were to look at what the main businesses in Waushara County are, it would depend on how you want to describe it. So this one shows you how many businesses there are. And agriculture has the largest number of businesses, followed by construction, which makes sense because if you think about a construction, there are a lot of construction businesses, but a lot of those are sole proprietors or they might have two people in that business. Also tourism is another significant number of businesses. If you want to go to the next one. Also retail was a significant one there on the other side. If you look at the private sector employers, the number of businesses that have jobs available, hire other people, you see agriculture is still a prominent one, but those that are tourism impacted, which would be your hotels, but also your gas stations would be another tourism impacted industry. That they employ have a large number of job opportunities. There's a large number of businesses that offer those kind of jobs. And then if you go to the next slide, that's the number of private sector jobs that are here in the county. You see agriculture still accounts for a majority of them, or for the largest percentage, not a majority. But then also tourism impacted is a big part of the jobs, and then manufacturing and our healthcare related ones. So I provide some assistance to organizations, particularly those that work with tourism and economic development, assisting inventors and businesses, and a lot of that's done through our Small Business Development Center. That's part of UW Extension out of UW Oshkosh. They come out here and work with those entrepreneurs and inventors on how to get their businesses started. We've taught programs on developing organizations and community leaders. We have a leadership program that covers Green Lake and Marquette and counties as well as Waushara County. And I've worked with issues of addressing lake problems, aquatic invasive species, and then also groundwater issues. And improving the community and quality of life issues. One of the things that I've been doing recently is working on poverty-related issues. Poverty being one of those negative sides of the quality of life. If we can get people out of poverty, that would improve it. And so we've looked at the food system here in the county, going back to the agricultural side of things too. And then working with local governments and yourselves as the county board on education on different topics related to government operation. If you want to go to the next one. Within Extension, we have colleagues that are in all 72 counties, plus a number of the reservations in the state. We also have a number of statewide specialists. Some of them are located on campuses, others are located off campuses, and these specialists are who we can call upon if we don't know the answers ourselves. So we may say that we'll get back to you, and a lot of times what we're doing is we're checking into those experts as to what we can do to give you that answer that you're looking for and the educational program that will benefit the county.
Next slide. The family living programs, we have the family living educator. She will be selected this Friday. We're conducting final interviews on Friday. And I am the nutrition educator. One of the things that I do is I go into the schools. It's my main goal. But the goal of the family living program is we work with families to help them solve problems and improve the quality of the daily life in ways that are important to them. So that can look in lots of different ways as far as the family living programs go. Next slide. Some of the focuses that we came up with when we did a visioning session where when it comes to rehiring a person as the family living educator, the community decided that parent education and strengthening families was important. Family financial education was also important. The ongoing collaboration among family-serving agencies, like Department of Human Services, CAP Services, for example, support for volunteerism, and the outreach outreach to underserved audiences. Next slide. The Wisconsin Nutrition Education Program is a program that I work with. My audience has to be qualified in order for me to actually reach them. So they have limited resources, basically low-income families or individuals. We teach about choosing healthy diets. We teach about food safety. We teach about how to improve food security by using their food dollars wisely. And all of my salary comes from the USDA. Next slide. The majority of my position, I go into the 3 school districts would be Wild Rose, Wautoma, and Tri-County. The focus of my outreach is to educate youth on healthy eating versus what is not healthy. The outcomes, which means what do I hope to get, or what does the USDA hope to get from this, is to improve the fruit and vegetable consumption and teach the children, adults, how to improve their diet and to reduce obesity. This is a picture of my plate. This is basically what my education, basically what I teach on. Basically it's a topic. I choose, let's say, vegetables, and I'll focus in on that for the class. These are some of the comments that I just chose for like the impact that it's making on some of my students. For example, students are much more aware of the importance of eating veggies and are willing to try new foods. I see them trying more types of veggies offered at school. They seem more interested in eating fruits at school and promoting them at home. And I feel they are more aware of the food groups and are trying to eat the food groups from each group. Another one of my partners is WishAir Industries. I do several different things at WishAir Industries. I teach advanced cooking. I teach basic cooking and nutrition classes. The advanced cooking, we select individuals who have more of a skill level, and perhaps we would teach them how to make like a soup from scratch. The basic cooking would be individuals who have skills that are more limited. How do you microwave, how could I microwave a baked potato, or how can I make a can of chicken noodle soup or something like that. All the classes always have a nutrition component added to that. And the nutrition classes are basically similar to the school classes. I just teach on one of the My Plate topics, one of the food groups. We also have a Veggie a Fruit Award that's been given weekly. This was a grant that we received from the used to be the Central District through Extension, and fruit and veggie consumption has improved over at WishAir Industries because of this grant. So, next slide. I also go over to the Wautoma Food Pantry once a month. I demonstrate common commodities that the pantry offers. For example, last time I was there, we demonstrated squash, cabbage, and sausage. And so these are types of foods that they would maybe get from farmers or different organizations that donate. So I'm trying to encourage the people that come through the pantry how to prepare the food. And those are some examples of the other foods we've done.
Now for the 4-H youth development portion. How many of you have a connection to 4-H? Either a 4-H member, 4-H parent? Number of you? All right. So you have a kind of a concept of what 4-H has been. This next year, Wisconsin is celebrating the centennial of 4-H in the state of Wisconsin. So we'll be looking forward to some opportunities to recognize our history and as well as to look towards the future. Our goal is to intentionally create environments for positive youth development. And you'll see 2 names up there. As of December 1st, the state bought out 25% of my time, and my role in that 25% time is to work with my colleagues who are newer to the profession and to help them become more familiar with us and to develop effective programs that meet local needs. Andrea Bratz was then hired with the money that was from my position, and she's with us 40% time. So it's very nice to have a new young professional working with us and bringing some new energy, enthusiasm, and new ideas to Waushara County. So as we take a look at it, some philosophical things. USDA, want to hit the next button? There we go. The USDA took a look at identifying what are the essential elements for positive youth development to occur. And the first one is that of belonging. Our program is dependent on volunteer leaders, like Bernadette, who's been a volunteer leader for 30-some years. 35? Close to 35. We'll find out on Sunday, because Sunday is our recognition program. But we work through volunteers like as Bernadette to help deliver and interact with our youth in the 4-H clubs throughout Waushara County. We also want to make sure that everybody feels included in the activities and the work that we do as a 4-H program. And we provide a safe environment. We take a look at reducing risks. We also take a look at how can we involve everyone in the activities that we do. The next essential element is that of mastery. How many of you have been to the Waushara County Fair? All of you, I hope. You'll see the results of many of the work that our 4-H members have done as a result of their 4-H projects. And they're engaged in the process of learning how to do some of those different projects. The other part that you may not always see or witness is in 4-H clubs, our youth are running our 4-H club meetings, and they're learning how to make motions. Missy was just talking about encouraging her son to make a motion, who hasn't quite mastered that yet, but he's mastered the second part of it. If you go to a 4-H meeting, there's about 10 kids who will second the motions after you finally get one person to bring forward the motion. So there's lots of opportunities for kids to practice, to get feedback. During the fair, the judges provide feedback to the accomplishments of the youth that are there exhibiting. The next one is independence. When you talk to some of our 4-H members and you give them an opportunity to make decisions, that's a new experience for them. We have a trip known as Explore Wisconsin, and that's open for 6th through 8th graders. And we give them the opportunity to decide where in Wisconsin do they want to explore. And it takes a little while for them to be comfortable with the idea that they are the ones that are planning that trip. Because many of the other 4-H trips or opportunities, they might be planned in part for them, but this is one where they actually get to decide where they're going to go, what they're going to see, and what they're going to do. So it's an opportunity for them to make a decision. Also, our 4-H clubs are taking a look to the future. They decide maybe decisions relative to their budgets that affect them 2 or 3 years down the road. It may be different people in leadership and maybe different members, but they're helping to make some of those decisions. They also decide which projects they want to take on and what activities they want to be involved in. And the fourth essential element is that of generosity. At one point, I haven't counted recently, but at one point when we totaled up all the community service projects in Waushara County, there was one community service project for every member in the 4-H program. I think that's a pretty awesome accomplishment. Here's our 4-H clubs. If you want to take a look at your township, you can find out where there are towns or where there are 4-H clubs within your townships. Patrick was kind enough to make this map for us so that we can help to promote where our different 4-H clubs. There's 14 different 4-H clubs in Waushara County, a total of about 340 youth and about 125 volunteer leaders helping those youth to have those experiences. In addition to 4-H, we also do outreach. We know our method or our delivery method of community 4-H club programs is a time commitment. The focus may not be able to something that attracts people, so we do some outreach programs. The past 5 years, we had the privilege of receiving a CIFAR, Children, Youth, and Families at Risk grant, and we received about $40,000 for each of those 5 years. We did outreach programs primarily in the Tri-County School District. We've also done some outreach programs in Wautoma. In the summer, Patrick was part of it. Terry also works there. The Summer Migrant Education Program at Tri-County, we provide a number of educational opportunities for the youth there. We also did public libraries the last 2 years, and that's provided some neat opportunities for us, which leads us to the second one. With the addition of Andrea, we're taking a look at science, technology, engineering, and math. There's a strong need for scientists, people working in technology, and engineers in our world. So we're taking a look at building some of those skills here in Waushara County through school programs and through the libraries.
Two people who support us all in the office that if we didn't have them there keeping track of things and answering questions as they're coming and directing them to who needs to have the answer or who may have the answer in the office, we would be lost without them. That's Natalie Gerdowskis and Rosie Kowalski, if you want to go to the next one. Some of the other things that we do through our office is we do soil samples and water sample testing. And we don't only do the testing, but also we explain how you can use that information. Ken does the explanations for the soil, and I do the explanations for the water testing. We do plant, weed, and insect identification. And down in the corner there, you'll see a wood tick that, or a tick that came into our office and that Ken took a look through the microscope and was able to explain which kind of tick it was and how to avoid it. And we also do plat books through our office. That's a 4-H fundraiser. We're a major contributor to the county fair. We do all of the entries and then also finding the judges and arranging for those judges and recording everything after the fair is taking place. We have educational programs that we host here via technology from all over that are presented all over Wisconsin, but also sometimes they're nationwide. And I don't know if we've done anything worldwide yet, but we are a location for the technology uses for those different programs. Then we have a number of publications through the University of Wisconsin and the University of Wisconsin Extension that we have available through our office. And we are the access to the campus-based specialists and State Department and different departments, as I mentioned earlier, with our specialist groups. You want to go to the next one?
Are there any questions?
That worldwide bit, that might be that Build conference. Well, I suppose that's still in the States. It's worldwide. Excuse me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to have the annual report from the Public Health Department.
Good evening, I'm Patty Wolfile, for those of you who don't see me on a routine basis. This is the annual report from 2012 from the Health Department. Okay, next slide. This is my staff. Very nice looking people there. Okay, next slide. Okay. I have organized my annual report by the Essential Public Health Services. It will tell you what we're expected to do, and I'll tell you what we have done based on that. Okay. So, first of all, we're expected to monitor the health status and solve the community health problems. One of the ways we do this is what's called the Community Health Improvement Plan. We get a coalition and we involve community members and other agencies, and we look at piles and piles of data, and we decide what are the major health issues, and then we say, well, what can we deal with, and then we write a plan, and then we try to implement the strategies to help look at what we can do to hopefully fix some of those issues, or at least move along with those, and try to improve the health of the residents of Waushara County. Next slide. So, a couple of things that we look at when we look at statistics are things like the obesity statistics. I mean, that's no big surprise. You see that all over the place, and when don't you see that television ads where they're showing all those people walking along? And so you look and say, okay, the green is Waushara and the blue is Wisconsin, and there's the national benchmark. National benchmark obviously isn't going to move. They tell you what they want it to be. And then you looked at Waushara. What has Waushara been doing for the last several benchmarks? Obviously going up. No big surprise. Yeah. So we just moved to the binge drinking for Waushara, huh? So what is Wisconsin so well known for, huh? I mean, you know, we got to have awards in something, right? So Wisconsin, as you can see, kind of outranks us. That's good. So, you know, Waushara, we're not doing quite as good as Wisconsin for being wonderful with our binge drinking, but we all know that Wisconsin's just really great with that. But Waushara has slowly climbed, so we're trying to do that. But when you look at the national benchmark, sadly, we are not so great, so sorry. Okay, so smokers. So let's talk about smoking. So the national benchmark, you know, it's there, and you can see that at one point Waushara in 2004 and 2006, we were actually pretty close to that, weren't we? And even though smoking has improved, I'd say for the most part, we're kind of up there, and we kind of surpassed Wisconsin, didn't we? So I'm sorry. Apparently, we haven't found much else to do other than smoke and drink and eat in Waushara County. I'm sorry. So we have a few issues. So we have a few things to work on. And this just tells you where we find our information from. The WISH statistics, it's at Wisconsin. It's the way you get your data out of there. So the module offers selected topics from behavioral risk factor surveys. People are asked what they think on the phone. There's all kinds of ways we get our data, and they figure out things for the 72 counties and give us some information. But so you can move along. Thank you. Okay, so what did we decide were our main health topics in Waushara? Well, we've talked about a few of those. Physical activity and nutrition. So if you're saying that obesity is one of your issues, certainly eating better and moving more would help out. And as you listen to Terry, she's doing a wonderful job with UW Extension trying to help do that in the schools, which is a perfect place to start young. Chronic disease, which is actually a result of some of those things we talked about. If you're drinking too much, you're eating too much, and you're smoking too much, you're going to have chronic disease. So sometimes that's an end result. And we have a wonderful relationship with our hospital, and they have looked at our community health improvement plan with us this year. And so that's one of their big things, is they look at the chronic disease because that's where everybody ends up when they have that issue. So substance abuse, mental health access, and bullying, unfortunately, is a big issue with our kids. It just becomes a bigger deal. So those were the things we developed through our data review, and we're trying to work on those strategies and interviews with some of you actually came to our interview for the Change Grant, where we talked about physical activity and nutrition. So those are our issues. Okay. So one of the things we did previous to this was the Good Active Guide, and some of you may have seen that. I probably should have thought about bringing you some tonight. But it was published by our people and with our partners, CHN and Family Health Clinic and Wild Rose Hospital, and it's 78 pages of great ideas and things to do. You know, when your kids and everybody says there's nothing to do here, there really is actually a lot to do in Waushara County. So you really can get active and get moving, and there really is a lot more to do other than eat, smoke, and drink in Waushara County. You just read those 78 pages. There's plenty there. Okay, so other than that, we go to essential service number 2. And that really is diagnose and investigate health problems and health hazards. So that's where communicable disease comes in and blood lead testing. So, you know, when people have issues that are reportable, they're reported to us. We look at it, talk to people, try to educate them, and if we need to, try to prevent it from spreading. So we've done, in the last year, we did 210 investigations of reportable diseases, 165 TB skin tests, and then our Winnebago County partners provide our HIV investigations and follow-up. Those are so few and far between, thank goodness, that they do multiple counties for us. And blood lead testing, we do quite a few things with children in the environmental investigations in their homes, and we do a lot with our Spanish-speaking folks with our UMOS clients. Okay. So human health hazards. We received 32 health complaints in 2012, and of those complaints, 5 were to other agencies, 5 were mold, there's unfit dwellings, we have housing complaints, infestations, that's why our little mouse there, you know, animal complaints, garbage complaints, water quality complaints, and then one lovely animal carcass. So that's your basic health hazard complaints, and so my sanitarians just love to do that stuff. Environmental hazards, rabies. We had 69 animal bites and quarantine orders. We have an awful lot of animal bites that occur in our county. Radon, you might be somewhat familiar with that. That's the radiation that comes up through the soil, and it's nice to have a kit and test for that. And we also cover, besides the 3 counties that we have, we also cover Portage County. That's part of we are considered a radon information center, and we have people that are experts in that. All my staff have gone to that training and are very good at knowing that. So over the last 4 years, we've given out anywhere from 66 to 187 of those, and 18 to 68 positives that need follow-up. Okay. There's a lot of information on there about food and recreational licensing. You're probably aware that back in 2006, we started the Tri-County Consortium. That's the 3 counties that come together, and we are agents of the state, and that's for the hotels, motels, restaurants, all those things that you see up there. And so we actually have 308 licensed facilities. That means my 3 staff have to go to all of those. We're required to do 100% of those. Sometimes we have to go back again and again. We have to follow up any complaints that they have. We had no foodborne outbreaks, and then we had 97 special events. We go to all the fairs and the county fairs and the little fairs that happen. The temporary food class training occurs in the spring, so they have a lot of work to do. They're very, very busy people, and they do a wonderful job. Okay. Sorry. It's all right. Immunizations. We offer immunization clinics. Was Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, this year in 2013, we cut back on that, but in 2012, we still were doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we served 959 people. We offer a lot of vaccinations. You can see Hep A, Hep B, Tdap for adults, and then, as you know, right now at this time of the year, we're doing flu clinics, and we often give pneumonia shots. We can have those all year long, but a lot of times people only think about them at this time of the year. And we give anywhere from 1,600 to 2,000 flu shots, depending on how the year is going. Okay? So, we're up to number 3, inform and educate people. So how are we doing that? We have a Facebook page, we have a website page, we put a weekly column in the Argus, we put displays in the libraries, out in the lobbies of our office, and we have lots of brochures and booths at the fairs like the county fair, the Blue Ribbon Kids Day, and lots of special events. Okay. So general education, I have 3 car seat techs. They do motor vehicle crash stuff. They try to make sure the kids are in the car seats the way they're supposed to be. We have a DOT grant for that. And we did at least 130 kids in 2012. Okay. So oral health. We offer fluoride rinse in 3 schools. We have fluoride supplements. Those are the tablets or the drops that the kids get. And we do fluoride varnish. You just put those on the teeth really quick. We do that for health checks, school-age kids, and at the UMO centers. Okay. Bike helmets. We do bike helmet rodeos. We get the UW-Oshkosh nursing students. Usually every semester we have student nurses, and in the spring they usually help us out with this project. So we go into all the schools, and we even go into some of we offer the private schools also, and then we help out with the EMS event too with the rodeo. And so the kids learn how to ride their bikes, put on a helmet, and we give the helmets away to the kids that need the helmets. And so in 2012 we gave 210 helmets out. So, mobilizing the community to identify and solve health issues. So, Tobacco Coalition. We have 5 counties that work on tobacco-free living. So, you saw that we still have some tobacco issues. The big thing is trying to get people to not start smoking. It's really hard to quit. Anybody who smokes that still smokes out there knows that. Anybody who's quit really knows that. So, the best thing is to get them to not start. We also have a special thing where we do first breath for women who are pregnant to try to really get them to cut back or quit when they're pregnant because, as you know, it affects the baby. And then with emergency preparedness, we have 5 to 6 counties that work together on training, planning, and exercising so that we can all be prepared to help out if anything happens in any fashion. And that includes the things that we expect that can happen, like bad weather, power outages, tornadoes, that type of thing. Okay. So other partnerships, Women's Night Out is something that happens in September. Green Lake coordinates that. Skin cancer screening, we have a volunteer dermatologist who comes and has taken care of things. I know some of you have even participated in that. Central Wisconsin Healthcare Coalition, which is the mental health access. We're trying to get more help for people who are mentally ill in our communities. Multiple committees that include services for immunizations, trauma care, prevention, counsel, wellness. These are all things where the more you can get people together, the better we can do with the dollars that we have. Okay. So, number 5, trying to support policies and plans to support individuals and community health efforts. So that's the Health Department Strategic Plan. I brought that to you once before, so you guys have seen that. We have a communications team. We're trying to figure out how to get the word out better and how people hear things about us. Quality improvement, we could talk about that maybe another time. That's a big one. How do you improve things? A lot of people have learned the lean process. It's how do you make your processes work better? How do you do things better? And performance management tracking. That's gathering data saying the so what. If I do this program, has it really done anything? Does it do what it's supposed to? And so why are we even doing it? That's what performance management is. Okay. So 6 is enforce laws. Tobacco compliance. So we go out there and make sure they're not selling that tobacco to the youth if we can help it. And in the past, sometimes we've had a lot of citations, but in 2012 we didn't have any. We only gave 1 warning. The food and recreational license, we already talked about this. That's an enforcement program. And so is lead abatement. When we go in, if a child has a high lead, we have to go in, we tell them what they need to do in their home, and we're actually enforcing those laws, and we have statutes that back us up. Okay. Link people to needed personal health services. We have a wellness program which helps women who can't afford it have breast and cervical cancer testing done, reproductive health services. We do some pregnancy testing, give out birth control pills when it's necessary, and get them started to services that can continue with them. Mental health contract with Human Services. I have a nurse who does that. Personal health services, public health visits, give information to families with newborns. Prenatal care coordination, that's women that are high-risk pregnancies, and we have 24 clients in 2012. We've often had up to 60 some. We do office clinics. We have a loan closet, which gives out wheelchairs, porta potties, crutches, all kinds of things. Foot care, 80 clients with 366 offices. A lot of you have probably heard about that. A lot of people really enjoy our foot care clinic. Okay. Targeted case management, that's children with intensive needs where a nurse goes and sees that family, those parents and that child pretty frequently. Health check, well child checks with UMOS, blood pressure clinics, drug disposal program. You've probably heard that twice a year. We do that and we take pounds and pounds of prescription drugs and other things off the street. We have a heroin task force and a drug endangered children team. Share a Smile, dental sealants in the public schools. This is one of our fabulous programs that we've started a couple of years ago, and it continues to do really well, and it's one way that you can prevent caries in small children with a whole community that has a lot of poverty. You heard about that from the extension too. We're not a wealthy community. So if you can prevent caries by going in and helping out people, it's a wonderful thing to do. So 45% are on medical assistance and 18% are uninsured, and for those that are uninsured, it's our grant that pays for it. Anybody on MA, we bill MA. So in a year, so 2012, we screened 375 people, some had special needs. We sealed 297, we varnished 354, and we educated 393. School health, I have nurses in all 3 school districts. We screen for hearing and vision, 1,235 children. And migrant health is our United Migrant Opportunity Service kids. We do a lot of health checks for them. We do vaccinations for them. We do hearing and screening for them. We do TB tests for them. We do a ton of stuff. Okay. So number 8, what do we do to have a competent workforce? Well, we're training our nursing students, and we hope that some of them stick around and help us out. And we have at least one that we recruited and became one of our own members. And we meet some on the street every once in a while that said, you know what, we came to your place and we learned with you. So we've gotten a few that we've gotten to come along. And then staff development and training, we send people whenever we can. And actually training in Wisconsin is pretty cost effective. Okay. So 9, you evaluate your programs. We talked about this a little bit already. If you have a performance management system in QI, you're looking at what you're doing and why you're doing it, and is it really actually working? Does it do what it's supposed to? Local health department accreditation is a national movement to have local health departments accredited just like hospitals are, and our department is heading in that direction. We are hoping to write a grant shortly that would give us the funding to actually push the button and go for it. Consolidated contracts and state contract reviews. When I have a contract with the state, they demand that I prove that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and can show them that I'm doing the job I'm supposed to. That's how we evaluate what we do. Okay. There we are. Okay. Thank you for your time. I know I talk fast and I tried to move fast, being the pitch hitter.
And number 1 is the kitchen edition. Sheriff County has had a very generous offer. A lady in our community has offered to give Sheriff County $250,000 to build a dining site. Did I say kitchen? It says kitchen on here, but it's actually a dining site in Wautoma. We've talked about this at Public Works. I guess I would like, if you have any feelings one way or the other, I guess I'd like you to express that, and then we can go from there maybe.
Yes, it would be a good opportunity to have something like this in the county for other clubs or people that could use it, that can't afford to go to Moose Inn to have big doings, that can't afford a caterer, a kitchen could be used. They could bring their own food in. So I think it would be a good opportunity for the other people to use it.
Thank you very much. Any other? Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
I've been approached by different groups wondering, hearing about it and wondering if it's going to happen because they're looking forward to possibly using it for their groups.
I guess I would like to see this go back to committee, to send this back to committee. And I know it's going to be expensive, but I think that we should should at least let the bids out, so that we can get a firm price on this instead of just saying that, oh gosh, it's gonna be way too expensive. I think we need some firm prices on it. Yes.
Do we have to go all the way to letting the bids out? I mean, that's like another big expense, like advertising. Think, could we just have the architect prepare the specs up for a bid, and maybe that will give us a closer number, or do you want them to go all the way to bid?
Well,
Do you have an idea of what the additional cost would be to have him finalize maybe Randy knows, do you know how much Bill would need to charge to finalize the specifications?
Somewhere around 12 to 14,000, and of that 20% was for project managers, so if you take that off of there. Other than that, he wasn't real definite.
well, I would like to see this go back to the Public Works Committee. Joe?
I'd make the motion that we send it back to Public Works Committee to see if we can't work out something to get some firm numbers.
Is part of your motion to allow that expense? Because the county would have to bear that expense.
I'd like to see the expense. I think we should, because I just hate to turn down a generous donation like that because of the additional expense, and the bidding may come in a lot lower than what they're estimating.
We have a motion to send this back to committee. Do we have a second? Motion by Joe, second by Bernadette. Okay, I guess we will vote. All in favor?
Well, here's spending money, you need a roll call.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Eckstein.
Aye.
Mr. Weddy.
Aye.
Mrs. Palata.
Aye.
Mr. King.
Aye.
Mr. Wadel.
Aye.
Mr. Crawford.
Aye.
Mr. Kirschner.
Aye.
Mrs. Krantz.
Aye.
Mr. Heisey.
Aye.
Mr. Tim.
Aye.
Mr. Yasti.
Aye.
Just out of clarification, that money can come from surplus then? Is that, okay. Do you have a limit on what that is, what that amount is?
Oh, we don't know. I'm going on an estimate from what he told us, but I've talked to other contractors, and they're telling me that estimates are high.
No, I mean for Bill, for the architect to
That
prepare
is even
everything.
high also. So we need to get a number. And I don't know if Bill is the answer, and nothing against Bill, but I guess that
Okay.
we need to get some.
I understand what you're saying, Joe. I think I'm not expressing to you what I'm asking. Do you have a number what Randy can spend with Bill up to a certain amount to get this to the point that it can go out to get your specifications?
You want it not to exceed, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
So not the cost of the building, but the cost of the architectural fees, right? Ruth,
don't
am I
know that.
saying that right?
I'm not that up onto what it would cost to get the bids out.
Okay. Randy, if it was 10,000, do you think that's,
Probably gonna be close.
okay,
Might need to go more.
okay.
I think you're gonna need to put it out for bids because, Bill can only guesstimate what the cost is gonna be. And you're gonna need the contractor to bid on exactly what they're gonna charge to do.
I guess we could put 10,000 in. If it exceeds that, we have to come back to county board and get more approval. We don't know. I have no idea. I think that 10,000 to get a bid out is expensive. That's my own opinion.
Well, how much did we pay to get the bids ready for the remodel downstairs? I think it was in that area.
Yeah, I think it was. Seems like it was in that area.
I think we should go with what Joe, put a ceiling of 10, and then if we need more, then we have to come
Okay.
back and, to the board and get approval.
Would that be part of his motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
How can we add to a motion after it's passed?
That's what I was asking.
I guess that will be our understanding when it goes back to Public Works.
I think that if you're asking
I'd make that motion at the 10,000. If it exceeds it, come back to county board for approval.
Mr. Weddy?
Aye.
Mrs. Coletta?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Wadel?
Aye.
Mr. Crawford?
Aye.
Kirchner?
Aye.
Mrs. Krantz?
Aye.
Mr. Heisey?
Aye.
Mr. Tim?
Aye.
Mr. Piaski?
Aye.
Mr. Astor?
Aye.
All right, next is the Hancock EMS building.
Well, I guess I asked for this to be put on the agenda tonight, and I don't have all of the information that I need to present to you so that we can make an informed choice about whether or not it's appropriate to proceed with this project at this time, given our budget limitations and where we're headed with our budget request for 2014. I can tell you that the architect is working on the bids. They're not quite ready to go out to bid yet, and so once we have all that information, then we'll be talking about it at Public Works, and perhaps they'll have to come back to the county board at the next meeting when we have all of the information so that we can talk about it. I know you've already approved it, but a lot of things have been happening since you approved that, and I think that we might need to look at it again depending on how the numbers come out once the bids are, before the bids go out. So I don't have all that information for you tonight, so hopefully I'll have something more solid for you next time. Yes, Mark?
Deb, can I ask you, where are you at with negotiations with EMS?
Towards the end of July, a mediator came and met with both groups. That process actually still continues today. There have been proposals back and forth. Right now, the union does have a proposal that the county presented to them, and we are waiting for a response. So we're still in the mediation phase. If that is not successful, it will go to arbitration.
So you don't, there is no, you have no idea on time frame or anything
No,
like that?
I do not. I think we're still pretty far apart.
Make a motion to table this building at the present time due to information that has not been presented to us.
We have a motion, and Joanne, you
Second it.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next we have the formation of the Hancock Pine Lake Management District.
Okay, Melanie received a petition for the formation of a lake management district for Pine Lake in Hancock. The public hearing was held by the zoning committee last month at their regular meeting. In your packet is the report from the zoning committee recommending that this board go ahead and approve the formation of that lake management district. So I don't know if you have any questions about the information in the packet, but the steps are is they file a petition with the county clerk's office. All of the signatures are verified to make sure there's the appropriate requisite numbers for either owners or owners of a sufficient amount of land. If that means, then there's a public hearing held on it. There was no objections at the public hearing, and then the zoning committee completed the report, and now it's up to you to decide whether or not.
Ruth, can we ask, the party that presented this is in the audience, can we ask her any questions if we want, or, you know, Diane, could you just, Diane Guston, could you just tell the board maybe a little bit that weren't at the zoning office, why you were doing this or wanted to go with this? And come up to the microphone if that's possible.
What was the question again?
Why you want to form this lake management district, kind of give us, you had explained to the zoning committee why you did and why your reasons were.
The main objective is because there's quite a problem with milfoil in the lake, and we'd like to apply for some grants, and we need to be a district to apply for the grants.
I think that's quite important that the board knows that's why that they need to form this district so they can apply for some of these grants. That's why I asked Diane to emphasize on that. That's all I have. Thank you, Diane.
this committee report that we received in our packet doesn't seem to be complete, because it says it's see attached in several places and there's no attachments.
Terry, do you have the list of the people? That's what's not attached.
So that would be like the signature sheets themselves? Okay. Yeah, there's probably 50 pages of signature sheets of landowners, if that's what it's referring to. So
Plus it says there's written comments that should be attached, and we're not attached either.
Do you want me to go get them? I mean, do you want them, maybe this question's better answered by Diane. Is this time sensitive in that if you waited another month, does that hurt your progress at all?
I don't know that it necessarily hurts the progress. It's just the sooner we can apply for grants, the better.
Okay.
There is deadlines on this, and if we don't get hit the next deadline, then we're not gonna be able to get spring through.
The next deadline for the DNR grants is February 1st, and it's gonna take them some time to get this grant application done. It's not a short and sweet project to do it. It takes time.
I think kind of the sooner the better we get this, get them rolling with this.
So Larry, would you like Deb to go down and get
I
that,
can go get them.
that packet for you?
No, I'm just commenting that when we're given these reports, they should be complete.
I think maybe their intention of completion was the summary that follows right there in dark print of the comments, but obviously that doesn't attest to the fact that the petitions aren't there.
Well, maybe in the future, we could maybe attach a note to this that, you know, that if a board member wants to come to your office or to Larry's and read the, you know, the complete document. Is that all right? Yes.
Donna, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve this.
All right, motion by Kirschner, second by King. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now we'll move down to the employee compensation plan.
Tom, could I ask you to dim the lights again? And I know there's going to be a lot of information, and so bear with me. We'll get through this together. I'm going to start by just showing you some of the current pay scales that we have right now in place today. So in this particular one, you have, this is the courthouse. It was union before. Now it's a non-union group. So you had some that maxed out at 36 months. You had some that it would take 7 years. So you have a sample of that. Human services, you had a start rate and they topped out after 24 months. So you've got some that are 7 years, some that are 24 months. This is the non-union. This one was a 9-step program. So what's happened here is you have all these different step systems, and now all these folks are considered non-union. So the idea behind this was to try to come up with a system that combines all of these different step systems into one. So if you bear with me, I will try to talk through this. We hired a group called Wipfli, and they're an accounting firm, a statewide accounting firm, and we went with Marquette County, Green Lake, Adams, and Waushara went together to ask Whippley to provide some information. So what they, and again, I'm not quite sure where to start with this because there's a lot of information. So I'm just going to go down column by column to start out. So column 1 is just A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's just the different levels and different categories that Whippley set this up in. The second column, so Whippley started out by giving us some ranges. So if you see this number 4297, that's the start of this entire plan, and that is based on this average. So you see that number is the same as that number. That's where the base of this entire thing started out. So Whippley went out into the marketplace to find out the average of 40 different positions. And the average is a snapshot in time. So you might have employees that it was their first day on the job, and you might have an employee that had 30 years on the job. This is just a snapshot of what the average is. So that's where this whole thing started, is right here. So when you go back to all these levels, they started here with the 4297. They went 15% over and 15% under. It's really that simple. That they put up a 30% range. In compensation studies, it can be, I've seen them at a 10% range. I've seen them all the way up to a 40% range. In this particular situation, Whippley decided that it would be a 30% range. This next group of numbers is basically taking the minimum wage and the maximum wage, multiplying it times 2,080 hours, and that gives you an annual salary. You're only going to see that annual salary following positions that would be considered exempt. Okay, so it gives you the hourly rate, but it gives you a salary range also. The next part of this is that I took the max number, and that's here. And so everything starts with this 4297. That's the base of this whole thing. And so 15% over that is 4942. The range is 21.5%. So between the minimum and the maximum, there's a 21.5% range. And between each one of these steps, it's a 2.5% lift. And then when you get to this area, this is what we would consider the gray range or the merit range. Between A and B, there's a 7% difference, and that goes all the way down the pike. There's a 7% difference between each category. The other thing that Whippley provided for us is they gave us a system to rank our positions, and so that's why all these positions are in different areas. The department heads met with me and we ranked these positions. We looked at the big picture. Did it make some sense? In 1999, Charlie Carlson had come into our system, and he ranked a lot of these positions. And so these things shook out pretty close to how Charlie had them ranked. There weren't a lot of differences. And so that's why you have level A with this position, level B with these two. You know, it just keeps going right down. It was based on a point system. The current is this level, so you might have some, like in this one, there's 3 positions that are getting the 3181. So that's what's currently being paid in those categories. So now back to the average. So this 4297, even though that number doesn't specifically appear here, the value of that is somewhere within this range. And so that it's important to remember that it's a range system. It isn't just, this is the average. There's a range because you're going to recognize years of experience. You're going to recognize expertise. So this is a 2013 model. This is taking 2013 numbers that Whippley gave us. And so the decision has to be made, do you take this
this model, this new model, and use it for 2014 and make a market adjustment? Or do we stay with the other system where you have 4 or 5 different ways of paying people? And that's really the question that's in front of you tonight. So what I had proposed to the department heads and to the personnel committee is that we would take this new step system, we would use a multiplication factor of 1.5% and make it 2014 numbers. So each one of these would be multiplied by 1.5%. And then the folks that, so everybody would get a 1.5% increase. Folks that are in this area, in this gray area, would get the 1.5%. I told the personnel committee that in 2015 we would have a performance evaluation system in place with a merit system. The county board would have to make a decision whether they were going to fund that system or not, but we would have one in place. Wipfli had indicated to me back in August that the market trend for wage increases was 3%. I called them today and I said, do you still feel it's 3%? And they're saying, no, it's probably closer to 2%. But I still would like to recommend that this goes up 1.5%. You're going to, if you stay with a 1.5% increase, this number is going up 2%. You're going to naturally drive our pay schedule to market. You're going to let it naturally evolve. In this system, I'm not red circling anybody. I'm not proposing that you red circle anybody. I'm proposing that at a minimum they get the 1.5%. So now you have folks, let me just give you some examples here. I'm going to go, if you bear with me, so I'm going to go all the way down. You got that? Everybody got that memorized? Great. All right. So now you have, I'm going to pick on the custodians. So right now these folks are getting $11 an hour. So what I would propose is that when we make this conversion, we would look at it both ways. So we would multiply this times 1.5%, and then this scale is getting adjusted by 1.5%. We would place them on the step system where they would get, which would afford them an increase. So this $11 is going to $11.30. Okay, so you need to get people on the scale. They need to get on the scale. If they're somewhere in here, you would go to the place that would afford them an increase. So you're going to have people that are going to start working their way through this scale. The folks that are in this area are going to stay in this area. They're going to get 1.5%. The folks that are on the scale, they're going to work their way through it. So if the average is going up 2% and we're going up 1.5%, you're going to start naturally working people back towards the average. And that's the goal. That is the ultimate goal of this. When I was designing this, I was making some assumptions. So my assumption that I made was that, so if you see that if you look at this, their low is much lower than we are. And the reason I didn't go as low as they did is for recruitment and retention. I made an assumption that instead of hiring people, having the scale go even lower and then hiring the people and automatically putting them at step number 3 or step number 4 the first day they walked in the job, to have a realistic start rate and be very competitive that way. The other assumption I made is that when you get to this number right here, you are somewhat above average, because I think we want employees that are above average. So if you look at, this is the average that the market study is saying, this is what our step 6 would be, anything above that is going to be strictly based on merit. And that system we have to develop. So what I'm asking to you today is it all right if we go with this type of a system, or if we stay with those 4 different steps? So I guess there's a couple different questions. We can take this one step at a time. As we prepared the budget for 2014, we did incorporate a 1.5% increase for employees. So whether you go with this step system or you stay with the old step systems, we did incorporate a 1.5% increase. When I compared getting people onto these steps, I needed another approximately $60,000 to $65,000 to do that. We have an $11 million a year just on salaries. So, you know, you're talking about a little over 0.5% that you need to make these adjustments and get people onto these scales. And again, this number, market study is saying this number is going up 2%. What I'm asking you to do is 1.5%. So you are going to naturally drive, people back to the average just from that. So yes, and the $65,000 was worked into the budget also. So I know there's tons of questions. I know this is just a lot of information. What's that? Yes, this will make it simpler. I mean, the difficulty is going to, we have a work group that's going to have to come up with this merit range process, and you certainly will, you know, weigh in on that when that gets developed. But it is much simpler having 1 pay scale than 4. It is much simpler. Don't all ask at once. Yeah, need an emotion.
I got a question.
Of course, Russell.
As you get down to R, those are the lowest people on the pay scale.
Yes.
When will they reach the maximum? Will they reach the maximum as the same as the ones that are in A and B?
Yes, it depends on where they are on the scale, but you know you would think that they would start here, and every year they're going to go up more. I'm trying to get this mouse to work. So every year they would bounce through the scale.
When you use percentages, the higher the salary, the more they receive on a percentage basis.
If you always do it in percentages, yes, that is true. That is true.
Are some employees that are well above the average?
Yes.
And I guess my question is, if they all get 1.5, how does that ever equalize?
Well, it will balance itself out, because if the market trend is going up higher than the scale is going up, it will eventually catch up. It might, you know, there are a couple positions that it might take a few years, but it will eventually, if you don't go total market, if you stay a little bit below market, it will adjust itself. Does that make sense? No. Okay. So this whole thing is based on this number right here. So here's the average, and so this is the base of this entire operation. So if this number goes up by 2%, but we're only going up 1.5 on the scale, you've just made an adjustment. Whether you realize it or not, you've backed this whole thing up 0.5%. And so if you do that consistently over time, you are going to catch up. It will catch up to market, because it's going to back all the values of these up compared to this number.
When they did this market study that Whiffley did, were they comparing counties or regions or states, or what were they comparing?
It's counties, it's private sector statewide. They used government information, they used private sector information. It was all different. They were looking at it from all different aspects. Of course, in the private sector, they're not necessarily some of the jobs that we have in the government sector, but where they could, they would grab private data also.
Average change yearly?
Yes, the average, there's going to be a market trend, so they are going to be able to tell us. So for right now, you know, in August they said 3%, now they're saying no, it's looking more like 2%. So these are all 2013 numbers. What they're saying is this number right here is going to go up 2%. And what we're asking is that we go up 1.5%. And so you've automatically gotten everybody closer to market. Well, Green Lake and Waushara are very close in our structure, and so Green Lake is presenting something almost identical to this. Adams and Marquette, I'm not quite as sure about. But Green Lake, if you look at their positions and how they rank them, you're going to find it very, very similar. And the they're gonna do the steps with the merit system. They're gonna incorporate all of that. This is what I'm recommending. I've been playing with this thing since June. I think it'll work. The department heads have had ample opportunity to weigh in on it. I think it's doable. I really do think it's doable.
And this will replace the Charlie Carlson.
Yeah, and all of the no longer unionized step scales. This will replace those 4 different scales.
So some positions will get more than 1.5.
There could be some adjustments a little higher than 1.5, yeah. That's the 60 to 65,000 that I need. We've talked about it. I guess you guys are out there if you got anything you want to say, but we have looked at it as a group.
I'd be retired by the time they get that fee schedule lower down, though.
Everett. Okay, we have a motion to approve the Whitford plan as presented for the employee compensation plan. Do we have a second? Second by Mary Kay.
Is it okay if I ask a few questions about, is your motion to allow for this to be increased by 1.5% for 2014? Is that included in your motion? Okay.
And Larry, you're okay with that too? All right.
Okay, and we will need a voice vote.
Mrs. Coletta,
Aye.
Mr. King,
No.
Mr. Wadum,
No.
Mr. Crawford,
No.
Mr. Kirschner,
Aye.
Mrs. Krantz,
Aye.
Mr. Heisey,
No.
Mr. Tim,
Aye.
Mr. Piaski,
Aye.
Mr. Eckstein,
Aye.
Mr. Weddy.
Aye.
Ruth, I don't have our bylaws in front of us, is that, it's not, it doesn't need a supermajority? Okay, all right, okay.
All right, moving on. We have consideration of possible action on the following resolutions and ordinances.
Resolution number 42-10-13, a resolution ordering the issuance of tax deeds on certain tax foreclosed property.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would move to approve the resolution.
Motion by Weddy,
Second.
second by Mr. Heisey. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign.
Resolution number 43-10-13, chargeback to municipality.
We have a motion. Motion by Eckstein,
I'll second.
second by Weddy. Are there any questions or comments?
Somebody explain how this happened?
Ruth?
I don't know how it happened, but there was a wrong assessment somehow.
The way I understand it from talking to our treasurer, Elaine Whale, who could not be here tonight, was that, this property was taken on tax deed, and it wasn't taken off the rolls, so it was taxed, but, you know, the county can't tax itself, and then these people were asked to pay that tax. There's, she sent a bunch of information with me, since she couldn't be here, but that was the gist of it.
We took the property on tax deed, so it became county property, but it wasn't taken off the tax rolls. The timing of it wasn't taken off the tax rolls, so even though it was our property and shouldn't have been taxed, it got taxed, and then when they bought it, they got the tax bill. It's just the timing of it, right, isn't it? I think it's just the timing of it.
Is this basically the same thing that happened to the town of Leon? Because we received a bill from the county treasurer on property and illegal tax? Is this basically the same thing?
It's, yeah, and the legal assessment is how it's worded, so.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign.
Resolution number 44-10-13, resolution authorizing 3 part-time, non-sworn special deputies for courtroom security.
Motion by Kirschner, second by King. Are there any questions or comments?
Based upon the report that was given at the last county board meeting, the presentation, it went back to public safety, and it also went to the executive committee to talk about how to deal with that, and the recommendation is to hire
question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You said non-armed?
This is what we're proposing to start, because of the cost effectiveness of this. We believe that having a person present with, a uniform on will deter a lot of the activities. And so we think that this is a good first place to start, given the consideration for the county's, budget situation at this time.
My question is, will these people be in contact with the Sheriff's Department via radio contact or something?
Yes, they will have a radio, they will be wearing a sheriff's department uniform, they will have handcuffs, they will have pepper spray, and they will be, and we will still be utilizing Lieutenant Gansel and the sheriff's department, for people that they're transporting over from the jail to hearings, and for cases where we're anticipating that the person is going to be either, incarcerated in our jail or be sent to prison immediately following the hearing. So we will still be utilizing law enforcement officers for that, and cases where we think there is a higher than normal risk, we will also be contacting them for backup.
I'm just concerned about.
Yes.
You didn't mention it was also brought to Personnel Committee.
Oh, sorry, it was brought to personnel.
Any other questions? All right, we need voice vote on this, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Radel,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mrs. Prince.
Yes.
Mr. Heisey,
Yes.
Mr. Tim,
Yes.
Mr. Piaski,
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein,
Yes.
Mr. Weddy,
Yes.
Mrs. Claus.
Yes.
11 ayes. Resolution number 45-10-13, resolution authorizing application for lakes classification, phase 3, grant number 2.
Everett. Motion to approve?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Whitey. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed?
Resolution number 46-10-13, resolution authorizing one additional employee for highway department.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Whitey, second by Krenz. Do you have any questions or comments? Okay, we have to voice vote on this also.
Mr. Radel,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mrs. Prince. Mr. Heisey,
Yes.
Mr. Tim,
Yes.
Mr. Piaski,
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein,
Yes.
Mr. Weddy,
Yes.
Mrs. Claus.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
11 ayes. Ordinance number 568, ordinance amending Washera County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 58 Washera County Code. Zone change, Stephen Mawson, Town of Marion.
Madam Chair, motion to approve the ordinance.
Motion by Whitey, second by Waito. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign.
Ordinance number 569, establish speed zone on County Highway A, Village of Wild Rose, Town of Springwater, Washera County, Wisconsin.
Motion by Mr. Eckstein.
It's 4.
Get rid of that speed
Do we have a second? Second by Larry Tim. Do we have any questions? Now, we were told at Public Works that if we pass this tonight, the speed zone would change by tomorrow morning. Is that true?
But it is a speed trap.
Okay, are there any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. All right, now we have an appointment, and that's the Hancock County Lake Management District. Initial commissioners, Kathy Study, Pam Coons, Diane Guston, and County Board Representative Supervisor Larry Crawford. Motion by Waito, second by Prince. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Do we have any board suggestions for future agenda?
Yeah, I see.
Agenda items?
Reminder that next month's meeting is the second Tuesday, not the third Tuesday.
I had something, I got in on this floodplain deal, and talked to Everett a little bit about it. I tried to talk to Joe, the head of the water conservation, but I ended up talking to Everett because Joe wasn't around. But is there anything we can do to help those people get a survey done on their property by using the county surveyor? If in fact it turns out to be they're out of the floodplain, they would not have to pay the fee for the county surveyor. If they stayed in the floodplain, they'd have to pay the fee of the county surveyor doing the work. I mean, I'd like to help these people out because nobody did any physical examinations of those properties. It was done by FEMA and the DNR without physically looking at those sites.
I agree, and Everett and I went out one day and looked at them. I just can't believe they put them in the floodplain.
I can give a little update if you would like.
Okay.
I talked to a lady tonight, and she's from Long Lake. Their property is supposedly in the floodplain, and they've contacted a couple different surveyors. I don't know if I should mention names or not, but one has offered to do a can't read my own writing elevation survey for $350 per site or per person if they have at least a minimum of 5. And it looks like on Long Lake there's at least 8 people that have signed up that would do this. And then there's a ton of paperwork, and the way it sounds, you would help them with the paperwork and see what can be done. This is what we were hoping, at the very least, could happen, that they could, get somebody that would be willing to survey it and give them a price on and so, but that's all I've got, but at least they're working on it, at least this on Long Lake.
I think that would be a fair price if they could get it for that.
That's actually pretty reasonable.
Because actually, if they have this done and they're found to not be in the floodplain after all, I believe they get their what they paid in insurance back from FEMA. And so, how about if we see how that evolves and then go from there? Because I agree with you, if we could help them in any way.
This isn't just affecting the lakes, this is affecting little wild rose too. God, they're afraid if the dam goes out in the Pine River, it's gonna take the whole Washera County downstream. I mean, they're sitting in their offices and looking at this and just thinking it's gonna devastate the county, people that are 30 feet above lake level. I shouldn't badmouth the FEMA, but it's.
I'm sure you should.
Well, my feeling is if they don't have the money to do it right, then maybe they should have just left it alone. Because obviously they didn't have, the DNR told us they didn't have the money to do it right. So, I agree with you. But let's see how that plays out and then go from there.
Do we want this on the agenda for next time?
Probably an update wouldn't be bad.
Just so we could at least discuss it. That would be a good idea.
Okay, anything else? Larry?
Can you give us any idea how the budget hearings went?
Deb, you want me to go right here?
Sure. Let's see, it came to 15,600,000 thousand. The mill rate would go up 27 cents. I wish I had it in front of me. We applied, I think our debt payment for 2014 is 800-some thousand. We applied 200-some thousand to the levy. We didn't use all of it. We could have gone higher, but we chose not to use it all. Most of the departments stayed at the same level of funding as they had in 2013.
Or increases within limits?
Yeah, every department, I mean, there was a couple that got the salary and benefit increase. Some people were able, or some departments were able to absorb it. There were a few departments that weren't. Yeah, I think it's pretty much available if you, I have a recap sheet if you want me to email it to you, I could tomorrow.
Get it.
Does anybody else want it?
I'd like to see it.
Okay, so it's just a recap sheet that
Fine.
Donna Teschner provided?
That'd be fine.
Okay, so anybody else? Anybody else? Your last chance. Joe, did you raise your hand? No, Joe, you saw
Right
it.
in front of me.
Oh, you got, well, there, Joe's got it right in front of him. Ask him. Is there anything else, Joe, that you wanted to add about it?
Not real happy with it because of the increase in a couple of the budgets, but I guess we decided, and I wasn't really all in favor, but it is what it is, and some pieces go up, some places don't, and I just don't want to get into a jam where we're gonna battle this again next year, and you know, we have one department that's $197,000 increase, which is a lot. So, you can look it over when you get it before next month's budget meeting, so.
The big packets are, do you want them to pick them up, Mel, before?
Yeah, we're hoping to
mail?
have them available starting on or about October 23rd. So I'll send an email out or let you know.
You can probably get them at community meetings or something?
Yeah,
Or
we'll always make
stop in
the effort to do
and
that.
Sure.
email when you're here for another committee meeting and get them probably as soon as they're ready so that you have a good long time to look them over and weigh in. All right, is there anything else? Need a second to adjourn, a second by Waito. Any questions or comments you have about adjournment? Not everyone. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Okay, Bob, let's go pull you out.
What?
That was actually just another copy.
Apparently not.
But you've got,
That's not fair to all the other departments, they kept it at zero.
The majority, it's just 6,011.
What you do is live with what he has for budgets.
I was just curious, I didn't, I wanted to make sure that.
It's $197,000 budget increase.
He knows he's gonna get it, he comes twice a year and gets that. Gets in the mid-year, and then he gets another jab at the end of the year, every year.
So you probably don't have.
Yeah, they always find reasons to spend that money, right, when years have over.
And then he comes in and gets the money, and she says, well, you guys give it to him all the time. I said, "What's he gonna
I
do?
said, warm it was outside today, even if it
Live
rained.
within your budget once.
If they know they're gonna need that money, they should put it in there.
That's what we're doing for next year, but you watch, you mark my words, he's gonna be back on that. He's already looking at it, because he wanted a grant
It's tough. It's tough being
for a 4-year thing for a school liaison. Doesn't have any schools that wanna pay
and we
pay
always
the
take
service.
it out of
Now
my
you have to
road
buy a
after.
car, and you have to put another person.
Desk is bigger and
He
bigger
turned
every
it
day.
down.
The desk is bigger and bigger every day with all those papers.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I said, it's nice when a job like that, when you get some money, like Tom has a contract with Town of Waukegan for 3 years. If 3 years that contract goes away, that person goes away. How can you just add them to your payroll? You know, where does that money come from?